Okay, good morning everyone. So this morning I just wanted to go over a pretty typical morning routine for me regarding lung stretching, in particular the diaphragm. So this is something I incorporate almost daily into my practice, and the benefits are twofold. To start with, it increases your accessible lung capacity. You're going to decrease your residual volume. By increasing flexibility in the diaphragm, you're allowing yourself access to more of your lung capacity. And secondly, it really helps with comfort at depth. Now, as you descend down the water column, what you will experience is an increase in pressure of 1 atmosphere per 10 meters. And if you relax, the hydrostatic pressure will push up against your diaphragm, and your diaphragm will be able to sort of invert into the rib cage, and this will create a feeling of relaxation, and it kind of counteracts the hydrostatic pressure, and it's allowing this airspace to shrink without creating a rigid space and creating a vacuum. And so that kind of looks a little bit like this. And so as you can see, my diaphragm is fairly flexible, and I'm able to get it to go up into my rib cage. Yeah, I'm going to show you a few moves this morning that I do to maintain that flexibility and increase it, so that I can feel more relaxed in the water. I should just add that obviously this is a practice called Uddiyhana Bandha. It's a variation of that. Uddiyhana Bandha is just really just stretching your diaphragm. But there are some risks to these movements, and so they should be practiced in a quiet space with limited distractions, so that you don't create any jerky movements when you are doing these negative holds. You can, in extreme situations, if you make a move too quickly, create a barotrauma and give yourself what's known as a lung squeeze, colloquially. And it can be very minor, but as with everything, slow and steady progressive overload over time increase the stress and the strain, and you will create a very strong base and good foundation. Okay, so let's begin. So I like to be in a seated position on my legs, and you can see that I am sitting with my heels flat, so the top of my feet is facing into the mat. This is comfortable for me. If this is not comfortable for you, then start in a chair or start on a bench, just sitting normally. You can also progress into this position, or you could sit cross-legged, but I find that I'm able to get more of a stretch forward in this position. So we'll start with some pretty normal positions, and then we're going to go through a few different movements as well. And for this session, I'm not going to introduce what's called reverse packing or packing. We will do that in another video later. And again, I invite you to go slowly. If in any moment you feel that you have a sensation of rising heat or a strong desire to breathe, then just inhale and return to the neutral position first, and then inhale. Okay, so let's say, for example, you're in this arrow position, you would come back here and then breathe in, and that way you can reduce any risk to hurting yourself. And also, when you breathe in, I would say to you, do it slowly, and try to purse your lips and put your tongue in the way so that the air doesn't just shoot into your mouth, as this can create an irritation in the throat. Okay, so let's begin. Again, when we're trying to expel air from the lungs, we want to lean forward, and we're just going to kind of push or tense the abdominal muscles to squeeze air out of the lungs. I like to do it by going forward, and that way I feel like I can get far more out. For today, again, I'm not going to do any reverse packing, so this will just be me in a normal situation, expelling the air that I can. So we'll start with a very easy one. We'll go down and then just come back up to this neutral position, and we'll flex the diaphragm a little bit. Nice and easy one to start. Just lifting that diaphragm up and letting it drop down, and kind of noticing any urges to breathe or any sensations of heat rising in the body. And you should be able to kind of feel the stretch up and the stretch down. Naturally, obviously I can create quite a big cavity in my abdomen. For you it may be less or whatever, but just focus on the sensation of the diaphragm being lifted up and down. Okay, so let's try another one, and we'll go into what's called arrow. So I did a little demo of that earlier. You're just going to bring your hands up like this, and we'll just maybe do a few little rocks left and right. Again, very gentle, very slow, very steady. Breathing in. Okay, very nice. So a little bit more intense. You probably notice the stretch more, especially in the lower abdomen. It's kind of pulling on the psoas and stretching the abdominal muscles as well. So the key is to kind of relax into those, just as you would with any normal stretching. And then, you'll find a sweet spot where you're getting a bit of intensity, and then you can come off. Okay, so building on from the arrow, we're going to do a few little bit more dynamic movements now. Again, just breathing out, expelling as much as you can naturally without reverse packing. Just follow along. We'll start by doing a side-to-side movement, and we'll do one, come back, breathe in, exhale, and then go the other way. Okay, we'll go the other side. Okay, so you may have noticed a little bit of a stretch on the side that's leaning over. That's really good. And perhaps a little bit of different stretching going on in the center. Also nice. And just notice as well that before we inhale, we come back to this neutral position. Okay, so now we'll do some twists. We're going to go left and then go right, okay? Same again. Okay, and now we'll do to the right. Okay, and again, just noticing the different spaces that you're getting a stretch. Obviously, when we're twisting, there's going to be a stretch coming down the front on the side here, and also on the internal side of the diaphragm. So that was the twists. We've done the side to side. Let's do going back now. So this is a much more intense stretch, okay? And go slow with it. You can start by leaning back just a little bit, and then as you graduate and get more and more flexible, you can really start to lean back, lean back, lean back. Okay, we're just gonna switch the angle side on view here. Coming to the front of the mat. And again, we're going to start in the neutral position, right? And as we breathe forward, you'll see the diaphragm come up, and then we'll just lean back. And what you want to do is push the center of your chest up to the ceiling. And then you should feel a nice stretch in the abdomen and maybe even down through the sides. Okay, so you may have noticed a urge to pee as well, as I just had in that one. It's perfectly normal. You're putting lots of different pressures on the bladder and stuff like that when you're doing these poses. So obviously, try not to wet yourself. Just come away from the stretch and relax, and usually that sensation will go away. Okay, so that was empty lung stretching, and now we're going to move into full lung stretching. Okay, so this is obviously stretching on a full breath in, and actually the focus on this type of stretching is not the diaphragm, but we're actually looking at stretching the intercostal muscles, and that's the muscles in between the ribs of the rib cage. So we're going to do a few similar poses, and then there's one actually that's a little bit different. Now, seeing as we've already seen all the poses, I like to tie them together and do it on a bit of a breath hold. So I'll probably roll through 2 or 3 poses at a time, or pair them up left and right, and then take another fresh breath. And again, you know, there are some risks, of course, with full lung stretching as well. You know, the risk of barotrauma is low, but actually you can create what's called an ischemia. And essentially it's like getting tapped out. If any of you are jiu-jitsu or martial artists, then what happens is, because you're expanding your lungs so much, you can cause a blockage of the arteries that go to your head, and out you go. So if you feel lightheaded or anything like that, then just get back to the neutral position and breathe out, and that sensation will go away. Okay, so like I said, I've switched up my seating position here. I find that I can get a very full lung capacity in this position, and it's a little bit more comfortable than being on the feet and the knees. But again, you know, if you want to sit in a seat or a bench or the side of the sofa or whatever it is, make sure you're comfortable and that you feel good, and you know, you're in a nice quiet-ish environment. I'm in a quiet-ish zone here, although of course there are the sounds of village life, which are unavoidable here. Okay, so we'll go through breathing in, and we're going to do some packing as well. Okay, so a little thing on packing. I'll create a separate video on packing, but essentially you're just sipping in more and more air and trying to fill up the lungs as much as you can. So just think about taking little gulps to really fill yourself up, and go slow. Again, if it's your first time, just introduce a few sips of air extra, and progressive overload over time. You can add more and more packs to your breath hold. And yeah, I'm going to go to arrow, and then I'll do the twists, and then I'll do side to side. Okay, and then I'll also I'll breathe in, breathe out, and then we'll go into the two last poses. Okay. Now, quick note on the different poses that we're doing. When we're doing arrow, we want to do a slow rock around. Okay, so we're getting kind of 360 stretch in the rib cage and stuff like that. And then when we go into side by side, so do some twist, we're going to feel a nice stretch on this side. Other side, of course, we'll feel it here. And then when we do the lean over, we're going to feel a nice stretch on this side, and then again on this side. So focus on that sensation, you know, make sure that that's where you're feeling the stretch, because that's what you're looking for. And if you're getting something different, then maybe just take a look at how you're doing it. Okay, so let's begin. Breathing in, into the belly, into the chest. Okay, so that was the first three poses all rolled into one there on a breath hold. And I think I packed about 15 times or something like that, which is sort of in the middle of what I can usually do. But again, if you are packing for the first time, just go slow, add a few steps at a time, and then gradually increase that as time progresses. Okay, so let's go into the two other poses. One of them, again, is going forwards actually, and we're going to kind of flare out the wings and the shoulder blades to create space on the back, and try and stretch the intercostal muscles at the back of the body. Okay, so spreading the shoulder blades apart and really opening up the space around the spine and between the shoulder blades. And then we'll do the one that we did at the end of the Uddiyhana Bandha session, where we lean back, okay, and again pushing the heart center into the chest centimeters. You should feel a nice stretch. So let's go ahead. Okay, nice. So you should have felt some stretching nice in between the front ribs and then also on the back between the shoulder blades. Really like widening your arms out and stretching those blades apart so that you can get maximum space in between the blades. Okay, so that concludes the full long stretching segment. It's a little bit faster, and so I tend to tie these together. I'll always do my morning stretch first, about 20 minutes head to toe, and then I enter into lung stretching once the body's a bit more warmed up and stuff like that. And then yeah, you can do Uddiyhana Bandha, empty lung stretching first, and then into full lung stretching at the end. And definitely if you practice this 3 to 4 times a week, you will see a significant increase in your comfort at depth, your ability to bring up air to equalize with, and generally, you know, you're going to have more access to your lungs, and so your cardiovascular fitness will increase as well. Cool. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.